On this episode of the Massive Agent Podcast, we're sitting down with a serious authority on the topic of team building, real estate team building, to tell you what you need to know before building a real estate team. We're sitting down with Lars Hedenborg, founder of Real Estate B School.
The Massive Agent Podcast, with lead generation tips and strategies to get you more leads and sell more homes.
I love to buy houses. I like to sell houses.
It takes brass balls to sell real estate.
Wait a minute.
The leads are weak. You're weak.
I've had better.
Oh, have I got your attention now?
Here's your host, Dustin Brohm.
Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome to episode number 64 of the Massive Agent Podcast. Welcome. Thanks for joining today. This is an awesome show because a lot of us are in this position where we've kind of maxed out what we can do as a solo agent, and we're ready to start thinking about building a real estate team. And what I'm noticing, I'm hearing this from a lot of people, but then even on a local level, a lot of the real estate teams that have a name that you'd recognize, I start hearing that, well, they're actually not profitable. They're actually in the red. They're actually operating off credit cards. They're not making any money. And you're like, well, they're selling hundreds of homes. How the hell is this possible? And this is starting to become a common theme. Well, they built it wrong. Okay. There's so many different ways that you can structure a team. And so if you're like me, you have not yet built a team, this is actually going to benefit you. Okay, not having built a team up to this point is actually a good thing once you get this information, because so many of the things I thought were the right way were actually not. This is a very enlightening episode for anybody, agent or loan officer or mortgage broker, who's planning on building a team. We talk about the compensation structure. We talk about some other details, and this is definitely an enlightening, perspective changing episode for me. I hope you enjoy it. If you are new to the show, or you're old to this show, either way, my name's Dustin Brohm, your host. I am a realtor in Salt Lake City, Utah with eXp Realty. I am the co-founder of the Industry Syndicate, real estate's very first media network. I'm also the founder and head coach. I just gave myself that title just now. I'm the head coach of the Massive Agent Society. The society is great for agents, loan officers, and mortgage brokers. Anyone wanting to take lead generation into their own hands, so you don't have to rely on Zillow, so you don't have to rely on Realtor.com or Homes.com or any of this other garbage out there, or so you don't have to rely on a team anymore. If you want to learn how to generate your own leads, and some of those leads you can get for $1 a piece, okay? That's not everyone's going to get leads for $1, but it's absolutely possible. We show you how to do that. And rather than reinventing the wheel, in addition to the training you get through the Massive Agent Society, we also give you access to a database of Facebook ads that are proven to work, proven to bring leads in. Every single agent I've seen try this, it's worked for them. And you can just copy and paste. You can just copy and paste and run them and get leads. It's working it's working very, very well for every agent who has joined the Massive Agent Society, not just agents, loan officers as well. So check that out at massiveagentsociety.com, and you would be surprised, even though there's a lot of the major markets in the country, that if you're in a major city and you're like, well, this city's probably sold out because we only allow one agent or loan officer per market for the society, you might be surprised which markets are still available. So if you're in a major city even, don't just think, oh, mine's already taken. Go to massiveagentsociety.com, click on claim your market up at the top, and look on the map. And if your market is not circled in red, you're good to go. Okay. You can actually claim that market for yourself and be the only agent or the only loan officer in your whole market getting access to these ads. All right, guys. So today's show, first, okay, a little announcement, little timely announcement here. Better let you know. So one of the things I have been speaking about when I travel, to speaking engagements, and one of the topics I get asked about a lot lately is how to do podcasting and how to do flash briefings. And I mean, obviously as a show host, I've been doing this for over a year. You know, I know a thing or two. We now, thanks to you guys, we now have one of the top shows in the industry. You know, we're doing well. It's been growing like crazy, and, you know, we're starting to really hit our stride. Because of that, I get asked a lot, you know, what should I do? How do I do a podcast? What mic do I need? You know, who should who should the host be? And I don't mean the host like me hosting the show. I mean like Buzzsprout or Libsyn or whatever, the host of your podcast, the platform host. Anyways, I get asked about it a lot. Over on our YouTube channel, the Massive Agent YouTube channel, I just posted my talk at Inman Connect, where in 10 minutes, I teach you how to do a podcast. But that's only 10 minutes. That doesn't go into all the details, because I get asked, well, okay, where do I plug? Like once I get the mic, then what do I do with it? How far away from the mic do I talk? Then how do I edit the audio? Then how do I upload it? How do I choose my host? How do I get guests? How do I record interviews? Like all of those details are important, right? Well, good news. I am finally putting the finishing touches on my podcasting for real estate course. This is going to be a very affordable course. It is not going to be a monthly payment. It's going to be a one-time, very affordable cost to get access to everything. I want you to understand me. Every single step that you're going to need to do a successful podcast or flash briefing will be in this course. All right. Right now, you can get on the waiting list. We have not even opened up pre-registration yet. We will soon. But if you want to get on the waiting list to be notified first of the pre-registration, which will be at a significant discount. Okay. The discount will only have 2 digits in the price. Okay. See where I'm going here? Go to massiveagentpodcast.com/course waiting list. One more time, massiveagentpodcast.com/course waiting list. Get on the waiting list. You'll be notified as soon as we open for pre-registration. And I'm telling you guys, as I'm putting the videos together for this course, this is so powerful. I never had any course like this when I was getting started. So much of this shit I had to figure out myself. But guess what? We're putting it all in one spot. We're going to show you the equipment you need, exactly how to use that equipment, how to come up with the idea for a show, how to come up with your cover art, your album cover art, how to launch it, how to promote it, how to do interviews, how to look at the analytics of whether your show is doing well or not, and then how you can leverage that show to get more business. Okay. We're going to show you every step of the way with video and with screen sharing. I'm going to show you how to edit audio. I'm going to show you which program I use to edit the audio, how I save the files, how I upload them to my host, which host to use. We'll give you discounts on the host and on that stuff. Everything. One more time, guys. If you're interested in doing your own podcast at any time in the future, go to massiveagentpodcast.com/course waiting list. Get on the list and we'll notify you once pre-registration opens, probably within the next couple of weeks. All right. So, the book of the week, we've pushed to the end of the interview today. I'm reading an incredible book by an incredible guy, David Goggins. He's a former Navy SEAL and probably one of the toughest sons of bitches on the frickin' planet. This guy is unbelievable. And so his book is on this week's book club. It's not really a book club, but the book of the week. Okay. Stay tuned after the interview for info on that. Cause this book for mindset, if you want to change your mindset, and get more mental toughness. Oh my God, this book's amazing. All right. So let's get into the content. This week we sat down with somebody that I've really looked up to for a while. His name is Lars Hedenborg. He's the founder of Real Estate B School, realestatebschool.com. And he teaches people how to, and I know they have like a concierge service that kind of like helps people, like literally helps them do this. And then they have a course as well for how to build a real estate team the right way, how to structure it, how to compensate your agents, like all of that stuff. Because, according to him, most teams are not even profitable. Most teams that you see as like some of the biggest in town, they don't make any money. Or if the team leader was removed, if they removed their production, it would completely fall apart. So he is showing people how to build a sustainable business right from the start, the right way. And this interview blew my mind. I had a certain misconception about how to compensate my agents. I always thought, well, if you want to get better agents and retain them longer, you need to pay them more. Well, I found out that's exactly the opposite. And you'll hear exactly how and why in this very enlightening interview with Lars Hedenborg, founder of Real Estate B School, on how to build a team the right way. Check this out. All right, guys, what's up? I'm sitting here with Lars Hedenborg. He's the founder of Real Estate B School. And this is a show I've wanted to do for a long time about how to build a real estate team the right way. So, and I'm excited because I am still a solo agent. I do not have what you'd think of as a real estate team, but I absolutely plan on building one this year. And so now I'm kind of glad that I didn't just like go out and do it, because I'm hearing from a lot of big teams, like on a local level, that you think are, killing it. And then you find out, oh, they're in crazy credit card debt and like they're in the red every month. So I want to learn how to do this the right way. I'm a firm believer that you start with the end in mind. And so Lars, I'm so stoked to hear how to build a team the right way. And for people who aren't familiar with you yet, or Real Estate B School, how did you get into this? I mean, how did you get into real estate? What gives you the perspective to help others build these massively successful teams? And just tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I'll give like the quick, and thanks for having me, by the way. This is going to be really cool.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, this will be a lot of fun. So I was in a corporate job. I did acquisitions and strategy for an aerospace company. That was a 7-8 year position, really cool job. But I knew I couldn't achieve what I wanted to financially and time freedom in a corporate setting. So solo agent in 2007-8, I hired my first assistant, did 44 transactions my first full year, 58 the next year, then hired 3 or 4 buyer agents, did all that completely wrong, but somehow we managed to go from 58 to 118 to 178, another admin hire, 248 families served, 312, and then over 400 in a single year. The cool thing was that in January 2012, I think it was the year I did 100, maybe it was the year I did 248. That was my last closing. And so I did like 1 out of 250 deals that year. And I had the intention of building a team on, I came from a corporate background, so I knew I wanted to build it in a way where it was a tight-knit group of individuals that were working to serve buyers and sellers. And a lot of teams these days it's literally just a loose collection of agents, and the team leader still thinks that purchasing leads qualifies you to be a team leader. Very specifically, the team that we're building for the future, High Performance Real Estate Advisors, I'm the co-founder of that business. It's to be the best provider of real estate services in all the land, so that 3 to 5 years from now we can defend our commissions, and we can be every industry has transformed via technology, and it's coming in our industry. So back in 2013, I got out of production in January 2012, went from 5 to 3 to 2 to 1 day a week. 1 year I made it was $20,000 a day in my real estate team, which was cool. And I had leveraged everything out. And there's some challenges with that as well when you're absent from your business, some cultural issues, but it was really good money. And it wasn't easy. And there were parts of it that I was totally not qualified for. And I failed in most of the ways that you can imagine failing in building a team. I just failed quickly, and I didn't get discouraged by the failure. And so I was building it on a very sound economic model that still I coach to today. But the journey was hard for me. So in 2013, I launched Real Estate B School as the B stands for business. I still feel like there isn't really good business coaching for real estate agents, for folks that want to transition from top producer, which most of the time being a top producing agent sucks, because you're working 7 days a week. You have no leverage. You're on email, text, working deals and offers at all crazy times. And it doesn't lend itself for any sort of normalcy in your relationships, with your physical health, with your spiritual health. You can't be a good dad. You can't be a good husband or wife or whatnot. So that's basically how it was born, as a way to make the journey easier for others that want to do it.
And so you're not just like, this isn't just your perspective. You've helped other teams build a team with a certain roadmap or a certain structure, certain plan or blueprint. I guess there's a bunch of different ways I could say that. And so like, what for the agent who they're getting to that point where they're just like, they're doing it all themselves. They're a top producer, but like you said, it's really straining the family. It's straining, or maybe they just don't want to work 7 days a week. Maybe they just want to take 2 or 3 days off a week and they want more of a balance, whatever that is for them. How can they start moving towards that direction? What do they need to know right now? And then how can we get them there? Like, let's jump into it, man. Cause I'm super freaking stoked to hear about this.
Yeah. So you said it when you made the introduction. You said, to begin with the end in mind. I think, a lot of agents that fail to scale, they don't have a plan. And a lot of agents that scale and build a team, they don't have a plan. So either you successfully grow your business in terms of units, but you didn't build it on a really good roadmap, or you fail to because you literally don't know what you're doing and you don't have a plan to do it. So it's funny you mentioned roadmap. We look at the real estate. The end game here is a high functioning, sustainable, systems driven business that provides superior buyer and seller real estate services. Like, we're in the business of helping buyers and sellers at the highest level. So no matter what happens with the industry and technology and disruption and Zillow coming in and Redfin, and we're going to be okay. And so that's the backdrop to this conversation. And if you want to be that entity, you can't do it as a solo agent. Yeah, there are still going to be solo agents in the future, but if it came down to, like, who's the best provider of, to help buyers or sellers in the greater Charlotte market, it's going to be us. And part of it's aspirational, and we're building it every day. It's just a different view on the business, but we break it down into 6 key drivers, and I'll just list them. But number 1 is roadmap, and it's literally to begin with the end in mind. Number 2 is marketing, to systematically generate high quality buyer and seller leads. Number 3 is sales, but not just being able to sit down on your own and convert a consultation into a loyal client, but to systematically do it. And then operations, the promises you make in sales, are you able to deliver on those promises in a high level that doesn't involve you? So they're systems driven. And then the last 2 are the most difficult. The 5th driver is finance. It comes down to the economic model you're building it on, the foundational, sort of financial tools, and then, how do you expand your profits and ultimately your net worth? And then the 6th driver is people. It really comes down to it's your only competitive advantage when you're building a team is your people, the core values. How do you find and hire talent at a high level? And how do you lead and manage those folks? And so when you look at a top producing solo agent, they have no roadmap. They probably don't have a whole lot of marketing. They could probably sell because they probably have the personality for it. They don't systematically deliver in their operations. They don't track anything, and they don't view people as leverage to build their world, or to scale their business. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. The drivers of a sustainable business, or even a real estate business worth owning. And so I don't know if there's any part of that you want to dig deeper into, or.
How about step 1, like the roadmap? Because I think, like, when I've sat down and I've thought for myself of, okay, how am I going to put this team together? How am I going to structure it? How am I going to compensate buyers agents? What's the split going to look like for listing specialists and all that? And what other positions do I even need that I may not know about? I think of just Googling shit and reading an article, or going to, Gary Keller's, real estate Bible, what is it? The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of misconceptions come up along the way, and I'll get to some of those, or maybe they're not misconceptions, but things that stop people in their tracks from even taking action. What are some specific things right from the get that people should have in their minds or plan on doing if they're going to build a team at some point in the near future? Like, let's say they want to do it within the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah. So, I mean, the 85% of our industry doesn't even have like an assistant, not even licensed, just any administrative support. And so if you look at all the jobs, like the individual tasks and jobs of a real estate agent, like 80% of them are mostly administrative.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. Even with
like,
the marketing, like,
yeah,
marketing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So as the team owner, as the business owner, you can get paid a lot of money to design a marketing system, but you don't get paid a lot of money to run that system on an ongoing basis. And so, the first thing I would focus on is really, there's a lot of first things, because you threw a lot in there. The economic model, wrapping your head around what this thing needs to look like. And it's a very near and dear, topic for me because of, right now there's a lot being revealed, among the top teams that I know are not profitable or marginally profitable.
Yeah. I've been seeing that some of these teams locally. I mean, and I don't know because I don't look at their books, but like you hear that they're not doing so well, and from the outside looking in, you're like, wow, they should be.
Yeah, and I've coached folks that are 3 million in GCI making less than 10% profit before taxes and owner's comp. And I've taken them to, over 750 to 900 and with the owner out of production. And, part of it is just looking at the lead sources, and splits are too high for the amount of value that agents are adding in the transaction. But generally it's the first thing is wrapping your head around the economic model, what the financials need to look like when it's fully built out. And then to also decide the model, there's about 3 different phases of growth. First is literally just hiring an administrative assistant and getting them to help you build the systems. Number 2 is, it's either a showing agent or a couple buyer agents to sort of take over your buyer business, but also to add business that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. You could take 4 to 5 people. I've got a team that'll do 60 million this year, that it's only 6 people, 2 admin, team leader, and 3 agents, and the team leader takes off Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and they work 1 late evening during the week. And so it doesn't have to be this complex or convoluted. The same way that I built my real estate team is the same way I would advise everyone to build it. It's 1 admin and 4 right fit buyer agents that are minimum standard is 2 transactions, really 3 a month, but 2 a month minimum transactions. So you got 4 agents selling 100 deals and the team leader is selling 50 deals, 150 units. That's how I still coach. And it's not hard to build, but the team leader, generally, they just get completely off track. They spend money on 12 different things at once. They don't hold their expenses accountable. They don't hold their people accountable. They don't have a good referral system. The first thing we teach in marketing is a systematic approach to getting referrals. So even though I don't talk to anybody anymore, we still, I'm so far removed from my business. We'll do 1.5 million from our database. About 35% of our GCI will come from the database, and it's completely automated.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. And so, but it all comes down to a system, and the driving force, if I literally have the drivers, there's 3 parts to each of these 6 drivers. The first part of the first driver, which is roadmap, is putting your life first. And it's this guiding principle of real estate B school is that there's nothing worse. I will not allow you to sacrifice any part of your personal life for your business. Yes, there are periods of time where you're going to put in, additional hours because you're building systems and still in production, but putting your life first, and then psychology, productivity, and a 3-year plan. The 3-year plan is everything. And so that's kind of the roadmap, how we set up the roadmap, and then systemizing marketing, and then building out your buyer sales system, your listing sales system. So you're not the one that has to do it, and the training around somebody else doing it.
What are some ideas that you have for, like, what are some of those ways you can automate your marketing or systematize your marketing? And do you I know I'm asking different questions here. They might be the same answer though, but is buying leads from Zillow and Realtor.com part of your overall system, or does that just vary by team?
So no and yes. So for us, we're looking to simplify our business, and we don't believe, and not that anybody believes it. I don't actually believe that buying a bunch of leads from someone that has figured out how to generate leads is like a really sustainable business.
I agree.
Yeah, we don't pay for any paid home search leads. Literally, we were luckily with Zillow, we were able to maintain our premier status before they started taking those away if you dropped your spend. But even then, we only were at $5,000 a month with Zillow. So we never got on the like crack cocaine addicted to spend. I actually don't believe that's a real business. I don't think having someone else generate an opportunity, that doesn't happen all that often in other industries. Like, you have to figure out as a business owner how to generate a buyer from your listing without paying for forced registrations. That game is done as far as I'm concerned. We stopped it 18 months ago. And so, when we take a listing, so the first part of the marketing driver is getting referrals. You need a system set up early on that is going to consistently generate referrals, period. And then once you do that, the next one is listing marketing. Every time you take a listing, there are 5 potential commission checks that you can earn off of that one listing. Let me see if I can, I always come up with 4 and I know there's 5. So the one is to sell the listing. 2 is to help the seller buy a home. 3 is to get a referral from that seller. 4 is to get a buyer from the yard sign or any other marketing you do. And then 5 is to get a seller within the neighborhood via direct mail, or circle prospecting or door knocking or open houses. So those 5 commission checks are on the table when you take a listing, and you build it out where when you take a listing, all of those 5 marketing systems happen automatically because the systems are set up ahead of time. And all you need is in most markets, a $12 to $15 an hour person that's executing those strategies.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. It's funny because it's so easy when you're a solo agent, especially, and you get a listing, we just look at selling that listing, right? Like, I'm going to run some Facebook ads to promote an open house or to promote the new listing with a single property website and get some people to, register just so they can get the address and the price and, all that crap. But we forget about all the business that one listing can lead to. So yeah. And so you're able to systemize that whole thing.
Yeah. Not only systemize it, but track it. So let's say you had tracking in place, let's say that how long you've been in real estate, how long you've been selling?
8 years.
So let's say for the last 8 years, you were able to track every listing you took, you had in a spreadsheet, and you were able to track how many of the 5 commission checks that you've earned. And you give yourself a score, and it's not apples to apples because it takes time to, we may take a listing today and 15 months from now we close a buyer on it, but we actually track that. So, how close are you to 5? And we actually track it on our team. So, most agents are probably less than 1, because not every listing sells and they don't have really buyer acquisition system for listings. So you have to set it up and you also have to track it. And it's not a complicated tracking process. But yeah, I mean, it's set up as a system that runs without me being involved in any of it. And then the third pillar, third part of the marketing driver is expireds and FSBOs. You can't be like a fair weather fan is probably a good way to say it, of those systems, based on what the market is doing. We do inbound and outbound expired and FSBO marketing no matter what the market is. So if, when the market shifts here, hopefully it's a softish landing. we're going to be in a good position with expireds ramping up. This year, I think we're on track. We're blowing our expired GCI goal out of the water. I think we're at like 400,000 already, closed and pending. And as of this recording, it's February 27th. So we're crushing it. We might get over $1 million on, and I don't even think with our dialers and, with the direct mail and some technology stuff that we do, I don't think we'll be 25 grand in on that.
That's incredible.
So, yeah. And yeah, so it's pretty cool. So yeah, but it all comes down to systems. Those happen behind the scenes. All of that happens where, and our team is only, 2 in inside sales, 4 in outside sales. So it's not, and we've got 1 showing agent. So we'll do 3.7 million GCI with a very lean sales team.
Right.
And we have probably a couple more administrative backstage staff because we take everything off of them. We want them to go sell and prospect and lead generate and convert. And we don't want them in a contract to closing, situation where they're negotiating repairs with somebody, like there's $100 fix on a faucet and a closing's not going to happen. I don't need that agent involved in that.
Right. Okay. So let's get this out of the way real quick. Cause I want to ask you to expand on every single aspect of this. Tell me the whole thing, but we can't do that on one podcast. Now you have a podcast. What's your show called?
It's the Business Freedom Podcast, and it's powered by Real Estate B School.
Cool. Okay. And I imagine you elaborate in your show, but obviously your business, Real Estate B School, is it like a coaching program that, if somebody's like, hey, I want to do this the right way. I don't want to just duct tape all these little pieces together. I just want Lars and his team to show me how to do it. They come to you and you just help them with it, correct?
Yeah. And it's
okay.
Yeah, it's sort of ridiculous what we do at this point. We're just in the process of launching a 12-week hand holding. We're calling it's sort of the foundational tools to be able to build the foundation properly. We're launching that in 2 weeks, so we're even adding more. It's our huge differentiator is the fact that we will actually help you install all of these tools. The tools and systems are built. You just need to install them in your business at the right time, focus on the right things at the right time, live in 90 days at a time, and pick 1 or 2 things that you're working on at a given time. And you stack those up. I've had a guy that did 32 transactions in 2014. The first intensive workshop he went to, he wrote down hire a buyer agent was his one project. He closed 330 units last year.
Damn.
Yeah. And none of it is, he did the work. I didn't go in and do it for him. But he just followed the process. And we're on the 3rd evolution of the toolbox that he had access to. So, it's just a step-by-step process. And, you will have had to have achieved, whatever the definition in your market is for top producing status. It's business coaching. So if you can't figure out how to sell, a certain number of homes in your market, then you're definitely not going to be able to do Real Estate B School. Although you can grab the toolbox for, you can have all the tools for, we've got that level, which is basically just an online program. Cool.
Yeah. Cause so many questions come up that I have, and I know there's no possible way to get to it all. And that's not fair to you anyways. That's your business, and that's very valuable information. So realestatebschool.com is where you can go to find out about that. I'm going to be checking that out for sure, Lars. So it's not the last you'll hear from me. So I have some questions for you so this has come up personally, and I know I've heard other agents say this too, when they start wrapping their head around building a team and bringing more people in outside of just themselves. There's this, and maybe it's real, maybe it's not, but it's this thought that, well, if I'm the head guy and I'm the rainmaker, so to speak, then everyone's going to want to work with me. I can't hand them off to a buyer's agent or whatever. They're all going to work with me. So like, I can't do it. Is that real? And I imagine it probably is to a certain extent. How do you get around that?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't worked with a client since January 2012. And so if I look at the total, anywhere between 3,000 and 4,000 families served, I only helped 220 of those. I think I added up my personal production. And every year I do a lot of business where people reach out to me, not only past clients, but people that are getting to know me. And I just say that I sort of manage the team at this point, and I've got someone that's performing it at a way higher level than I ever performed. And it's true, I've got 2 lead agents that each sold over 100 properties last year. And I've got a stronger team than I've ever had. So it's a journey. It comes with the commitment that the first step for a team leader is that I'm going to get out of buyers. I'm going to get out of working with buyers by this date. End of discussion. July 1st, 2019, I will not work with a buyer. In fact, I'm going to hand off all of my buyers to other agents or whatever that looks like for you. So that's the first step. That's not, it's just not hard. I mean, have I lost business because of it? I mean, I guess I have. I don't really know. You have the ability. So I just have this belief that, in my market, so I'm in Charlotte, it's a top 20 city, so it's not like a small market or a luxury market. It's just a regular average, 250 to 275 price point. In my market, I just think there's a market for services, like for the job market where, a showing agent in my market, it's about a $20 to $25 an hour job. Buyer agents are probably $30 to $40 an hour, and listing agents are anywhere from, $50 to $75 an hour. And that's just the reality of it. And I made the commitment to myself that I wanted to make minimum $250 an hour. So I just knew that I was losing money because I could actually put my time into things that are worth $250 an hour. If I can build a database and referral marketing system and that thing can become, we'll do, like I said, 1.5 million from a system that I started building like whatever in 2010. We've just improved upon it. And so I just know that I can always trade my hours out for higher worth hours. And I take a lot of confidence in that. My number, I'm not hitting it, but my number is $1,000 an hour today, where I know there are things that I can do that are worth $1,000 an hour. If I can get on stage, if I can do a podcast, if I can, there's only like 3 or 4 things at this point that really make my time worth that much money. But I take a lot of comfort in that. And so I think there's only the thought is, I guess to answer your question, it's just a really it's a good script. Were there appointments when I transitioned out where I said, hey, listen, I'm going to bring an agent out. Benefit to you is that I'm going to have, Sharon come with me, and she's been with me for, X number of years, and she's going to sort of lead the details, and I'll consult on the high level, the pricing of the property, and you'll have 30 to 60 minutes into that, and they'll usually sign 90% of the time they will sign. You may lose 1 out of 10, but so you might have to go on some of those appointments, but you're not going to be the one that's doing the 10 to 15 hours of work. You're doing an hour's worth of work.
Sure.
And the agent is paid accordingly. The scariest thing you'll have to do is put such a low commission value to something that agents honestly don't add a lot of value. If it's my relationship or an inside sales agent sets the appointment, how much value do you think you're possibly adding to that transaction? Like really, when you think about it, and sometimes our agents complain about it, but we pay out 10% when the appointment's set for them. it's 10% of $11,000. It's $1,100 for typically less than 10 hours worth of work. So you're getting paid about $110 an hour for that transaction. I feel good with that.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good about that pay structure for them.
Nice. Okay. So you do commission splits with your agents and not an hourly rate, correct? With the licensed ones?
Yeah. So we have 1, 2, 3, like 4 sales positions on our team. We have inside sales. We have showing agents, buyer's agents, and then what we call lead agents, but they're basically just senior agents that can work buyers of sellers that they have. So they can double dip on once they get to a certain point.
And you use that to kind of incentivize them to reach a certain milestone or do a certain thing, and then they're able to do more?
Yeah, I mean, you can't list homes unless you're a year as a buyer agent first. And even then, there's only if a position's available. So most of our team generated listing business go to our three lead agents.
Sure.
And we pay splits accordingly. But to answer your question about inside sales has a base salary component, and our showing agent has a base salary component. And then they're bonused after that. And then our buyer agents 100% commission, and our lead agents are 100% commission. And our buyer agents, when they're a buyer agent, they can set listing appointments, so they can get paid the commission as an inside salesperson on listing appointments that they set.
Interesting. Okay. I can tell there's little differences in how you do things, but I could see how they would make a big difference in the long run, because man, the research I've done into how to structure compensation for a team, like it's simple, like really across the board, like, buyer's agent gets this split, listing specialist gets this split, and that's it. And so it sounds like I don't want to say complicated it, but you've added some complexity to it, which makes it incentivize them more and just like, I don't know.
I want to make sure I'm clear on that, because the only incentive is for them to sell more. We don't have tiered scenarios. They don't get paid more the longer they're with the team. They're able to do more because they really appreciate the services we provide them. And they're able to focus in on their 20% that's making them money, because we take the 80% off of them. Here's the question. If you interview somebody or you talk to somebody and you want to sort of consider what they're doing with their team, is just ask them two questions, what their gross margin is and how much of the GCI did they personally generate. And so, I'm pretty open with our numbers. We were more than 70% gross margin last year, meaning we paid less than 30% to our combined showing agents, inside sales, buyer's agents, and lead agents. So all of our salespeople took less than 30% of our commission checks. That leaves us 70%, just over 70%, to pay for marketing, for staff, and for overhead. And I'm not in production. And right. So you just have to sort of get an idea of what model they're actually running. A lot of these teams are running closer to brokerage type profit numbers. Our goal is to hit, 30% profit before taxes, even a little bit more, without having to be in production and providing a service to clients that's above and beyond. We do customer satisfaction interviews, or surveys rather, net promoter score, all of that stuff. So we're maintaining our service standard, and we're still getting the kind of profit margins that we want.
This is different than like the way you've put stuff together. And I know I don't have all the details, but it's a lot different than I thought it was going to be. So this is surprising in a good way. But what's cool about it is, the way that in my own head, the way that I always saw that you put a team together. Now, when I start looking at these teams or hearing about they're not profitable. It's like, well, that can't really be the best system then. So then it makes me think there's a better way. It sounds like you found it. And so that's super interesting. And
this is one thing I was clear on from the early days when I first started my team was what I called the economic model, and now it's the Rebs economic model. It didn't, the real estate B school economic model, it didn't exist back then because there was no Rebs. But then also value-based commission splits. So we have a very particular way that we offer splits in a way that we explain the value that the agent brings to the transaction versus the value that the team provides. And it's all scripted. So it's not like it's a challenging conversation because this is the big hurdle. It's like, well, the only thing I could possibly offer these agents are a higher commission split. And that is a losing battle. There's another real estate coach who teaches a model of 30% gross margin. So his goal is to pay out 70%. And just think about that. Like my goal is to pay out 30%, and my agents are making incredibly good money.
Right.
And there's a 40% swing in that model that's being taught versus the model we're teaching. That's okay. So put all that aside. Which team do you think has a better shot at being the best provider of buyer and seller real estate services in the future? The one that has more margin to really control the experience for buyers and sellers, or the one that's basically a brokerage and every agent does things the way that they want to do things?
Yeah, definitely the former, for sure.
Yeah, and so like that's another whole different conversation. Like, are you building something that's sustainable with all of the crazy changes that are going on in the real estate market with OfferPad, all the iBuyer programs, with the instant offers, the 1% listing, Redfin, Zillow came physically into our market. Zillow did, like they have a physical, location here. Mm-hmm. So it's really making sure that you not only you build it on the right model, but a model that's going to be sustainable 3 to 5 years from now. The easy way is just to say, yeah, sure, I'll give you 90%. There's another team that does 200 million that gives away 90%, and they call themselves a team. And without the team leader's production, he's losing money.
Right. This is such a paradigm shift for me too, because so I started my career for the first 2 years. I was on a quote unquote team, 50-50 split. They paid for my signs, lock boxes, some marketing stuff, blah, blah, blah. Like, real loose use of the word team. But I got to go on listing appointments with them and, stuff like that. So like in hindsight, it was educational. But like then once I was able to get my own deals, like I'm like, I don't need you anymore. And then I start thinking, why would I give up 50% or more if I can get my own deals, right? And so it's hard not to think of how I would do things and what my perspective is, even though I know not everyone has the same perspective. So this is just, it's a paradigm shift, because I've always thought when I start my team, because I hear about all these local teams that are just revolving doors. People come in, people go out all the time. They can't keep any agents long term, or some of them can't keep agents for more than a couple months. And like the biggest teams in Salt Lake, like agents are in and out within a couple months. And so I'm like, from my perspective, because I just don't have the perspective that you guys have, is why don't I just make offer more, like have smaller splits so that the agent makes more, and then I'll attract everyone from those other teams. I'm hearing the opposite. And so this is crazy.
Yeah. And one thing, so the big difference, just take, as you contemplate starting a team, if this is you, Dustin, or one of your listeners, as you contemplate starting a team, take your mindset completely out of real estate. The only reason you even think about splits is because you're a real estate agent.
Right, exactly.
It's not because you're thinking like, hey, listen, showing homes is fun. There's no pressure. We've already secured the client. Like, how much would I need to pay someone to show homes? Like, okay, how much would I need to pay someone to convert a buyer that I convinced to come to my office with the presentation I trained them on in the office I pay the rent for, how much do I really need to pay the buyer agent for that deal? And really put their skill. So that's the first point, is that take your mind out of being a real estate agent, but then also am I building a business that is going to be the best provider of buyer and seller services? And when you're answering that question, it's just a different question. Like, you're looking to bring this. The second part of my point is you're looking to bring the best skill set to bear in each of the major positions of the team. So yes, you have to start small. You have to hire a kick-ass assistant. But then as you begin to hire that next hire, it may be a showing agent. A showing agent is different than a hunter buyer agent. Like, a showing agent just has to have a good personality. You can't walk all over them. But so everyone on our team, it's just like a sports team. If you put Cam Newton, to kick field goals and you put the kicker to play quarterback, you will lose every game. Right. And they're both equally as valuable. One probably gets paid a little bit more than the other, and their skill set may be a little bit more hard to find. But I think that mentality will have you owning a business 3 to 5 years from now that is a rock solid business, and that's built on a culture that people actually want to be around. Sure. And that's the goal, to have an actual business that is not reliant upon you, that's systemized. And I mean, that's the goal, or it should be. That's my goal. You mentioned you work 1 day a week and have crazy production going on that isn't reliant on you. So I appreciate this today, Lars, because it's such a paradigm shift for me personally, because it really flies in the face of so much that I've heard over the years of the quote unquote right way to build a team. And so, wow. Yeah. So a random question. Do you, do you do personality tests with everyone you bring on board? Yeah. So the biggest challenge you'll have as a team leader, a business owner is in the area of people. And, yes, we do. And I'll tell you a little bit more about it, but my best advice around people, and this is for you and anyone else that is starting a team or they've been failing in acquiring talent or keeping talent, is that generally we're like the visionary types that we bring a lot of positivity into our everyday. And that gives us the thought that I can totally do this. Like, we bring that same mindset when we're sitting in front of a person and we see potential. We hire people that have potential and they haven't demonstrated any patterns of success. So my pastor did a sermon once, and he titled the little snippet "Relationship Advice," and he talked about like ladies, like, you look for potential in these men that have like credit card debt and they're porn addicts and they kick their dog and they're overweight, and like, you're not looking for patterns. Like, the patterns raise all the red flags that this person is not going to perform well in your organization. Yet somehow we're like, okay, you told me you're going to work hard. You told me you're going to follow scripts. You told me you're going to, do these things, and you want to make a 6-figure income. But I can't find any speck of a pattern that really proves that. So that's my best advice, is look for patterns, not potential. And then, we definitely go deep on DISC, the Abelson version of the DISC and the values, and we validate that. We're also part of Keller Williams, so we do the KPA, and we go deep on that process. We do a working interview where they come in for 3 hours, and we teach them a single script, and they get on the phone and do that script for 3 hours. Then we do a group interview where the team, 5 team members get to interview them. We do a defense interview where everyone gets together and really comes together. Does this person fit the core values? Can they do the job at a high level? And so we've learned that we talk about systems. The most valuable system, and we have it in Real Estate B School, but the most valuable system you will build is your system for finding, hiring, training, and holding that person, accountable to a result that they also want to achieve. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but that is the holy grail of building a business, is figuring out the people, surrounding yourself with people that want to be there because you're building something bigger than you.
No, that's helpful though, because I mean, building a team when you don't have one, there's a lot to do. You know, a lot of stuff to do, a lot of things to put in place, a lot of learning what, you know, the right way to do stuff. So all of this is just giving good perspective and filling in some of those missing pieces. If you guys are where I'm at, where you're ready to start at least considering moving towards building a team, removing yourself from the equation, making it a true business, or you just want to do more, you just want to help more people and, you know, serve more families, like you said, Lars, you know, go to realestatebschool.com and you've got the roadmap. I'm definitely going to be jumping over there and studying up and seeing what you know, the way you recommend to do this stuff, because you've definitely shifted my paradigm today. Didn't really expect that. I didn't expect to be that different from everything that I've learned about, you know, the right way to do a team. So that's cool. I like that. Lars, is there anything we haven't covered yet that you think anyone in my spot or, you know, a solo agent that they're just starting to think about how to grow past just their own production? Anything we didn't cover that you think we should?
No, I guess the last thing I'll say is just, you know, there's so many things I want to cover with someone that's going to start down this path, but the one thing that will give you a lot of comfort is that, you know, there's no rush to go out and build this thing, and you'll make more mistakes by trying to rush it than if you just decided. You know, I'll give you a quick story. We had a new agent join our team, and he had heard about me before he met me because I'm online and stuff, and I go in on Tuesdays, and he came in and said, "Hey, it's great to meet you. Like, what's one piece of advice you would give me?" Without hesitation, I said, "Give it 7 years." And he's like, you could just tell he was like, "That's the worst advice you could ever tell somebody." And he only lasted 6 months in the team. But just to calibrate your mindset around, you know, take your time building this thing out. You know, we've had people do it in 3 or 4 years, go from 32 sides to 330 sides. And I've got dozens of those stories, and it doesn't have to be that quick. There's sacrifice in going too fast. Mistakes can be made. You know, give it 5 years, you know, where like this is the year I'm going to hire an assistant and get them super productive and teach them how to build systems or install systems. Year 2 is going to be when I figure out how to, you know, acquire buyer agent talent. You know, year 3 is going to when I hire my, you know, I get out of buyers because I've got a core team there. You know, year 4 is when I hire the second admin hire, you know, and I split up that side of the business, and that's all I focus on. All the while you're building your database, so it's just, there's really no rush. It just creates a lot of stress to rush yourself through this process. And the journey is not like it's unknown at this point. I think there's a lot of just complete bullshit that is being taught in our industry from guys that, you know, they tout the number of transactions, but I know a lot of them are in production, and I can't imagine they're in production because they like, you know, managing a team in addition to working with buyers and sellers. And I know teams that are doing I know a guy that did 2 million that lost money last year. I know a guy that did over 5 million that's losing money. And so
that's crazy.
It's crazy, but nobody's talking about it, you know? So if you're going to do it, make sure you start at the right point. And that's just with a model that is sound, and you stick to the financial model no matter how long it takes you. Don't chase the growth just because you can get that top line up, because I know a guy that did 3 million and he only profited 200,000, and he did 500,000 of production himself. And he joined Real Estate B School, and we've got to dismantle that now. So, you know, start the right way, so we don't have to come in, you know, 3 years from now and we have to come in and dismantle what you built because it's not profitable and it's super stressful.
Yes. And that's why I'm kind of glad that I haven't started down that road, because I would have done this wrong for sure. And then like you said, you've got to dismantle it and then start, building the right way. So anyone listening, myself included, if you have not started down the road of building a team, but you've kind of been kicking your ass, like, everyone else is doing it, why aren't I? Well, it's probably good. So now you have a chance to do it right. So Lars, thank you so much, man. Lars Hedenborg with realestatebschool.com. And I can't thank you enough. Definitely opened my eyes to a whole new way of doing things. And now I just need to go get the details on how to do it over at your website and Real Estate B School. So Lars, thanks so much, man. We will be in touch.
Yeah, Dustin, keep doing this good work, just spreading the real deal about what it takes to not only be a top producing agent, but just to kind of scale your business beyond yourself. So I appreciate you as well.
Absolutely. And aside from your website, how can they find you? How can they connect with you on social media and elsewhere?
realestatebschool.com is the way in, and you'll figure out on there that there's only one step. It's to get on the phone with us. And it's either a fit or it's not. And if you're not a fit for the coaching program, that we have an online program. So realestatebschool.com, we have a public, and I do a lot of content in it, Facebook group called Business Growth Network, powered by Real Estate B School. So go to Facebook. I go live in there every Monday morning and I teach. And so it's a cool group, and there's no real agenda. There's probably 99% of the folks in there will never, have a business relationship with us, but Business Growth Network, powered by Real Estate B School on Facebook, that group will give you a lot of free resources.
Perfect. And we'll have the links for all of this in the show notes at massiveagentpodcast.com. Lars, thanks so much, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, be good, brother.
Absolutely incredible stuff. I'm really glad that I haven't started building a team yet, because a lot of that stuff we just heard is really important and can make or break the success or failure of your team. So if you guys have not built a team yet and you're at that point, I'm glad you were able to hear that. Really good stuff. realestatebschool.com. Thank you, Lars Hedenborg. That was incredible. All right. So I promised at the beginning that we'd be doing our book of the week. I want to thank today's sponsor of the show, Audible. If you guys go right now to massiveagentpodcast.com/free book, you can get Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins 100% for free. If you're a new Audible customer, this, unfortunately, like if you're already an Audible customer, they can't, this is only for new people, but massiveagentpodcast.com/free book, you get a 30-day free trial of Audible and a free audiobook. And here's what's awesome. Even if you cancel that trial, they let you keep the audiobook. So the book of the week is called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. It's one of the best sellers out there. You see it on the New York Times bestseller list. Like it's everywhere. It's, and it's for mindset. Okay. This guy is one of the toughest bastards on the planet, physically, mentally, crazy. Right. But his story is unbelievable because he didn't used to be that guy. He had a terrible, abusive childhood. Then he was fat. He was out of shape. He was lazy. And now he runs over 100 miles at a time, like 100 miles straight. This guy is insane. He's a former Navy SEAL. He first came on my radar on the Joe Rogan podcast. I listened to the interview with him. He's absolutely crazy, and here's his mantra. If it doesn't suck, I don't do it. Like he seeks out stuff that sucks because it makes him tougher. And he distills everything down into this one book. It's really a really good book. I'm probably like an hour or so into it. And I'm telling you guys, this is an amazing book. It's called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Whether you use the free Audible audiobook or you just go get it yourself or get it from the library or whatever, this is a great book. So check that out. Guys, thank you for listening to the show. Make sure if you like this show and you don't want to have to remember each week to go find the new episode, please subscribe, especially in iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe to the show. It lets, not only does it make it easier for you, every time we release a new episode on Thursday mornings, it shows up and you get a notification from your podcast app, but it also notifies the Apple platform that our show is in demand, and it helps us grow our audience. So you're helping yourself make things a little bit easier, and you're also helping us and the show, which we appreciate very, very much. Also, if you haven't yet, make sure you enable our Alexa flash briefing called the Massive Agent Minute. We do 7 days a week, every single day. We're like almost 250 episodes deep in the Massive Agent Minute, and it's 1 to 3 minutes of an idea, a tip, a strategy, a thought, a story, just some random recommendation of something that I tried, whatever. But it's an extension of this podcast. So if you wish that we did, if you wish we had more content coming out than just once a week, the Massive Agent Minute flash briefing on Alexa is exactly what you're looking for. So all you have to say is, Alexa, enable the Massive Agent Minute. Oh, and I didn't unplug it again. So there we go. She's listening. Anyways, I guess she wasn't listening that well. That's all you have to say. So Alexa, enable the Massive Agent Minute. Do it on your Alexa app or on any Echo device, and then you're good to go. Remember, massiveagentsociety.com if you want to learn more details about our no contract, month-to-month coaching, training, support program with the database of Facebook ads that you can just copy and paste for a loan officer, mortgage broker, real estate agent. I'm telling you, I created what didn't exist back when I was trying to learn this shit. When I was trying to learn how to take lead gen into my own hands, I had to duct tape it together from a bunch of different sources. So I just went out and created a platform that just gives it to you and then provides you the training to become a master. So 6 months, 9 months down the road, maybe 3 months down the road, you just don't need us anymore. That's the goal. We don't want you to be a long-term customer. We really don't. MassiveAgentSociety.com, and you'll get all the information over there. All right, guys, we are a proud founding member of the Industry Syndicate Media Network. We are real estate's first media network. We have a ton of great podcasts and flash briefings and video shows similar to this one, and discover them over at industrysyndicate.com. Have a great weekend. Go sell some homes and close some loans. Have a great weekend.